Hello. I'm back with a new series this time. So, I talked a lot about rebirth and new things evolving. And what came to me was my love for 5D living. And actually, I wanted to relaunch a series that was all encompassing what I feel 5D living is, how that's a rebirth season in me, and also something that I've run before, something I feel so passionate about 5D living, something I'm here to do, my soul's dharma, and also what I believe many of us are here to do. So, let me explain a little bit about 5D living. So, 5D consciousness just means fifth dimensional consciousness. And how I access what this means. So we have a 3D reality, which is everything concrete, what we can see, it's the physical body, it's dense matter, and it's the understanding that that is all there is. And then we have a fourth dimensional consciousness, which is like tapping into the astral realm, that we are souls, there's spiritual matter, this is the realm of thoughts, negative entities, lots of different sort of dimensions, and often we're taught to sort of straddle these worlds. And then there's a fifth dimension of higher light, higher consciousness. But why it's really interesting to me, it's related to the throat chakra and speaking your truth, birthing your reality into being through the sacred word. The voice, the fifth dimension, the spiritual awareness. It's connected to spirituality and a higher sense of consciousness. And I feel that this is where many of us are at this time, the fifth dimension. We are sacred storytellers, we are truthers, we are speaking the truth into existence. We are those that are trying to birth and speak into a new earth. That is currently where I feel we are at the paradigm. And this is why I birthed 5D Theatre into being. That was my company and something I set up to bring in sacred storytelling. I write a trilogy of spiritual plays, but also to bring in everybody's soul gnosis, their soul story, their soul history, their soul her story, the soul story back into being, because I feel that there's nothing more important than reclaiming your soul. And when I tapped into 5D and what really needed to come in, the first card I got, and I was bought these by a beautiful soul sister, I got this card. So it is the card of karmic relationships, soul growth, polarity and conflict. And I feel that this is one of the most important things to touch upon, and I will be delving deeper in the 5D living series about the soul's growth and the karmic imprint. Now, I have written and currently developing a trilogy of plays, and they're all based around past lives and karma and what we carry. And my personal belief, yes, there's the levels of karma is what you reap, you sow, or your actions cause effect. And sometimes it doesn't even mean that it's not from a judgmental place, it's just how you live will rebalance and shift and come back to you in various ways. And I wrote my first play, AWAKEN, about persecution of witches and my own life being killed as a witch, but also the bigger aspect of what karmic effect that had. And there was a long time I was exploring being persecuted, and then a period where I was exploring the persecutor. The gift that you have through writing soul stories is that you get to play each character and walk in their shoes and really figure out their reality. And what I realized was that I had been both sides of the wheel. Yes, I could understand persecuting witches. I had lived experience of being persecuted as a witch many lifetimes before I really understood spiritual persecution. But as I was shifting into my second play, which was about the society shadow of karma, I began to understand how our free will has been abused and harvested. And actually, our karma has been placed on us. And what I understand the reincarnation will and the karmic will is that our souls are getting sent to places and recycled, and we're coming back down to earth, forgetting all our gnosis, forgetting our past life, forgetting our soul's stories. And that is a very dangerous and vulnerable place to be. And that is why I really want to speak out about this fourth dimensional awareness and soul harvesting, and bringing that into awareness that our souls are precious. Bringing soul back into society, into our body, is the biggest, beautifulest gift we can give ourselves and our lineage and all of humanity. I believe it's that powerful. It's like a revolution of bringing soul back into being. So it was interesting that I picked a karmic card, because I do believe that we are placed this karmic program into us. So, for example, you have the religious programming that says witches were the devil. And then these beautiful God-fearing priests would be like, oh my God, I've got to help society with this devil witch. And then you have these beautiful, profound wisdom keepers that were the true witches, who were holding the gnosis, the knowledge, being persecuted and wiped out of our history. And this is the reclamation of karma I want to bring in as a healer, that it's not lying in the hands of the persecutor or the persecuted. It's lying in the bigger karmic wheel, the template, the artificial intelligence that would have us believe in these patterns and believe that that we are the enemy. And this goes back to a very divide and conquer tactic that we have playing out in the world today, that strips us away from our unity, our source consciousness, our spiritual matter or mother energy, which is how I feel into it, and leaves us conflicting and fighting and distorting our energy and our souls, and fragmenting us, leaving us in trauma, and not helping us on the big cycle of moving through the realms with a flow and a rhythm and a sacredness that is spirituality at its core. So, yeah. And then I picked the card lifting the veil, which I thought was very interesting, because it said about questioning everything, and anything unaligned must go. And that, for me, spoke so deeply into 5D living, because I've been through many journeys myself where I've questioned everything that I've believed in, all sort of shattered around me. Like, I started this journey of awakening through a dark night of the soul, through just having everything I believed in fall apart, everything I loved come away from me, and losing a loved one. But more than that, it was losing my identity and place in the world. And actually what was shown to me was there was light at the end of the tunnel, but I was holding on to this sort of control. I couldn't let go of my life as I'd built it, of my relationships that I'd built it, of my questioning my spirituality, my faith as I'd built it. Everything sort of crumbled, and I expected it to be one way. And then what came out of that was me starting to pursue a path of bigger soul's knowledge, and lining up with what I was really here to do. And that has happened to me again and again and again. It's not one sort of shift and then you figure it all out. It's a pattern of questioning things again and again and again. And often, and I find this as a writer, you develop your stories, and then you go to a certain point where you start to question everything that you've put out there. It's like everything falls away and you go into a level deeper. And I also find this in my soul sessions with people. I have the amazing sacred gift of being able to journey people one-to-one through their own soul story, their soul's gnosis. The way that I work is I will remote view what's going on with someone else's soul story, and I will walk them through it and help them see that their own soul's story and how it's evolved throughout time, and how old and intelligent and I want to say world weary our souls are. Our souls have been attacked and fragmented, soul trauma, soul retrieval. It's all the work that have been trained in many lifetimes. And that is the element of the fourth astral realm that I refer to, because there is a higher multidimensional spiritual consciousness of yours that can never be harmed. But our soul, through fragmentation, has lost contact with that really higher connected part of ourselves. And then we drop in consciousness and we get more traumatized, and then we lose our body wisdom, we lose our spiritual wisdom, and we lose our soul's connection, because it's been fragmented throughout these traumatic timelines we've all had to face as a collective humanity. I mean, come on, war is not normal. The way that we treat our bodies, or that we're told to treat our bodies, is not normal, not from a healer's perspective. That we are so disconnected with our own body pain that we immediately medicate it. And that's what we're trained to believe is the way out, so that we don't feel the pain, that we numb and we shut down and we cut off from pain at all costs, when the pain is pulling us into a deeper awareness with our body or our spirit or our soul. And I mean, that is what a dark night of the soul can sometimes come physically, emotionally, or spiritually. There's different levels it can come on. So I love that the card said anything unaligned must go. And I feel like as an energy healer, that has been my practice again and again, trying to understand the different realms. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I first trained in energy, when I first started to have Reiki sessions many, many years ago, that's quite funny. What flashed up on my phone was Atlantis. Ooh, well, might get to that today. So my first few sessions with Reiki, I remember my healer said to me, we're going to do a one-to-one session and you're going to be at home and I'm going to do the healing here. And I was like, what now? Well, how's that going to work? And she was like, energy. I don't need to be standing next to you. And I was like, I'm sorry. Will I get a refund if it doesn't work? Like, I was so close-minded to it. And she was like, yeah, but the fact that you're so resistant means that we're probably going to need to do this long-distance healing. And now I think years later about how I've shifted, and all of my healing work is online, because there is no, healers work throughout the dimensions, soul guides work throughout the dimensions. The spirituality that I'm talking about isn't the concrete 3D. It means your mind and your body and your spirit needs to expand so that you can feel into these different dimensions. So now I'm like, well, if you're not on board with the fact that energy travels, then it's not aligned with the work that I do now. But that comes from a space of me being in complete disbelief. So I love that about lifting the veil, and that is 5D living, questioning everything so that you can go deeper and deeper and deeper down the spiral of who you really are, at the core level, at the soul level, at the deeper spiritual level. And I mean that like going deeper within rather than just without, outside, how we were taught that it actually is the wisdom's right locked inside our body. And yeah, so interestingly, I then picked a card that said about activating earth and ley lines and power places and trust where you're led. And lately I've been very called to go to the lands, and work with the lands. I live in London, and the land here is heavy and dense. But when I first started out on the journey of being an energetic healer, I was not that connected with the land, with my groundedness, with my rootedness. I took shamanic training, and hearing the drum and moving my body helped me really get in and get into the under realms, and a deeper sort of gnosis. But it's really been more in the last sort of year when I've been going within and time traveling through dimensions to different spaces, in a meditative space, traveling through through different sort of portals and places I wanted to visit, and really exploring the multidimensionality awareness of what's possible, but also the call to heal the lands, because as we are energetic beings, we have the chakra points within our body. We are made up of energy. We are energetic frequencies which we can help raise in consciousness. And a lot of the way that we've been taught is to be stuck in the lower chakras, which is the root, and this can be reprogrammed through power struggles, or we're pumped full of fear of everything, or we don't know how to work with our bodies, so pain manifests, and that's all in the physical body, in the root chakra, pulled down to there. Or there's all the distortion through the sexualized creation codes, which are around the sacral chakra. Or there's the power, the domination that is around the solar plexus. And we've lived in a very power over society for ages, especially power over the feminine force, because we have been in a patriarchal program. And that program, as I've spoken about many times, is more about the program, the inorganic way of being that isn't about men and women. It's more been programmed into men to dominate. I don't believe it's like a natural energy to force or to destroy someone else's energy. And the feminine, who had a beautiful creatrix energy, a receiving, a flow, has had to close down, safeguard, boundary herself, contain herself, and be much, much smaller and spiritually repressed because of this patriarchal program. So that is when we were living in those chakras, and we are entering into the heart and upwards. And the heart, I've spoken about in my spiritual grief series. A lot of grief lays in the heart, the death program being death is the end. So it puts us straight back into fear. The way that we are taking care of people, lots of institutions are breaking down, and we're seeing the corruption, and this hurts the heart. This hurts the healers and the empaths to look at the world and see a distorted, dark agenda that is playing out, that doesn't love humanity, that doesn't want this unity, that is dividing and splitting us up and fragmenting our souls. So it's a difficult balance at this time to come into heart awareness and rest with that grief of what is absolutely taking place in the world. It's a bit like, I remember the first level of my awareness when I was like, I'm going to switch off the news. It was years ago. I was like, I can't handle it because it just feels like it pulls down my soul. I didn't really have an awareness of my soul, but I knew that my energy would be off. And I remember someone saying to me, well, do you not want to know what's going on in the world? Aren't you being ignorant? And when I first heard that, I thought, yeah, maybe, but it doesn't feel right. And now years later, I really understand that actually that programming that I was watching was keeping me ignorant of my own soul self, because it was keeping me trapped in a lower energetic frequency. And intuitively I knew this, but because we live in a logical world, I didn't know how to explain it back then. So my views were seen as alternative or misinterpreted, and actually my soul, my spirit was wiser, knew better. Don't enter into that program. It's keeping you stuck. So the expansion that came when I started to work with energy and moving into fifth dimensional consciousness, this throat, and speaking through this true wisdom of what was true to my soul and my spirit and my energy, actually led me back to the earth and ley lines, because for a long time I was working as a healer, helping people clear their energy in their bodies, not realizing that this energy is reflected in our earth, in our lands. It took me a real while, which is maybe strange as a witch and a healer, to understand that the same energy that's in our body runs through our earth, our Mama Gaia. And that same energy is in the stars and the cosmos. So if we are out of alignment in our body, the earth is out of alignment. And we are out of alignment with the great, or that is the cosmos, the source energy, wherever you want to find that source energy, as above, so below, which simply means we are as much of the earth as we are of the cosmos. So that was a catapulting into 5D living, that we are multidimensional, much bigger. And then, I want to bring in something that happened to me today that's a very 5D living way of viewing the world. So I woke this morning and I felt, I've been struggling with pain in my body this week, and I looked up what it meant, and it felt that it was about being, and I'll say the Louise Hay quote. So Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, is a great go-to book for a healer, understanding that pain manifests in the body deeper. And I was having pain in the lower back, and the affirmation she gives you is, I love who I am grounded in my power, and I am secure on all levels. And those words were really powerful and potent to me, because I was feeling afraid of my power. I was feeling ungrounded, and I was feeling insecure and unconnected. And lately I'm getting the messages to really pull in the amazing spiritual support team I have. They've been standing around me lifetimes, but that to really work with them. And I am the multidimensional 5th D and above healer that is very, because of the journey through the astral realm and what I believe is playing out in the world today, I'm very strict on mentoring and helping people to connect with spirits on all dimensions, to understand what is trickster energy. There are entities out there that will trick you that they're your spirit guide. There are figures that people are working with, to name a few. Baphomet, the energy in that is just distorted. Thoth, which is a big Egyptian knowledge path. These are all from my own soul story, journeys I've travelled into, my clients that I work with have travelled into, and seen how distorted these figures of worship, or what I call false idols, have been, and that actually there is a real level of knowledge to really tap into the higher spiritual awareness. I use the example of Isis, which I taught on my Black Rose course, that Isis has been very reprogrammed and using quite dark, satanic, ritualistic ways, but the pure consciousness of the great Mama goddess, the creatrix goddess, and the pure magician, not dark magic, is Uset, the great golden winged being. And that takes a level of 5D awareness of the start of spirit. Okay, there's spirits to connect with. Oh wow, Isis, and that can be very popular in the spiritual paradigm. Oh, the goddess Isis, it can be very popular with witches in that paradigm. But then there's the deeper, okay, so has any figure, has any spiritual consciousness trickery? Has it been harvested? Has it been cloned? Is it real? Is it pure consciousness? And then coming back to the pure consciousness, your pure unharmed higher self, but also the reflection of the higher light source, goddesses, pure form of God, whatever you want to call it. But we all know the inner patriarchal paradigm, that even the word God is very programmed and heavy, because to some it's been overlaid with a very dark programming, and it was the reason that many witches were killed, pure witches that were healers and wisdom keepers, in the name of God, because they were devil. So words have a spell over people in many different ways. So the other card that I'm bringing in for 5D is the Seas, a Mintaka, which I don't even know, but potential and bringing consciousness to light. And that is the realm of the wonder of the 5D, and what I'm really excited about bringing back into Earth this time. And I referenced Atlantis earlier. Now, in my soul's path, I've spent many lifetimes in Atlantis, many lifetimes, and seen the fall of the technology. So Atlantis was known as an advanced technological civilization. So is ancient Egypt. A lot of the people from Atlantis traveled the portals into ancient Egypt. Good and bad. There was a lot of high consciousness, priestess, queens, priests, and there was also a lot of darker magician, sorcery, trickster, demonic energy that came to harvest the world. And I believe that's where the consciousness dropped. It's something I'm writing about now in my second play through my own soul story and what's come through, and seeing the current paradigm of transhumanism, how technology had fallen the consciousness of the human spirit and soul, and we've devolved rather than evolved, which is a lie I feel sold through history, that, oh, look at us, aren't we enlightened through science? Haven't we evolved? How far back do you want to go? Because my soul's consciousness, my memory, is that we were a lot more advanced spiritually. We were a lot more lighter in matter, and we were a lot more embracing of something really sovereign and pure, source consciousness. So I feel that we've devolved, and that actually those that have harvested the soul's consciousness, because they need the soul's light, because they don't have natural soul light in them, which is artificial intelligence, have rewritten our history and changed the programming and burnt the books, burnt the bodies, and divided everyone and caused wars and all sorts of cataclysms. Just a light little history class there to my soul's gnosis. So bringing the unconsciousness to light, which was the card, and also the 5D purpose, is speaking these truths back into being. It was why, through working with so many amazing wisdom keepers to help heal their fragmented souls, to help recall their souls, her stories and histories, and to get the gift of seeing the amazing higher consciousness that humanity have in the people that I work with, gave me a bigger passion to bring these soul stories into theatre, into the mainstream, and to ignite and activate what we are capable of in the fifth dimension, which is actually how Atlantis fell. As we were, and a lot of us came back in at this time on this earth to get the 5D paradigm back up and running again. And it's certainly a big passion and love of mine to break free of the 3D, take back the 4D knowledge and shine in the light of the fifth dimensional realm. And then we end with the portal. Doors are opening. You decide, rewards, wild card. And I love that. Just look at that portal. And that's what I believe we're entering into. We're going into the phase of the unknown, traveling down the portal of light, the different dimensions, tapping into our cosmic consciousness, feeling into the energy that is in our Mama Earth, feeling into the wisdom that is in the temples, and the temples are our body wisdom, and bringing this paradigm back into being. And that takes courage. That's why I feel like it's the wild card, to speak the truth, your soul's truth, even if it doesn't align with anyone around you, to speak it into consciousness. And that takes courage to live a life where you really look at the shadow in yourself and in society. And the shadow is any distortions where your light was strong, your frequency, and it's been hampered out, or your soul light has been fragmented. And to really understand this consciousness, work with it and transmute it, and work with all the warriors of light that are rising at this time. And for me, it's why 5D theatre exists, to help that movement, to create awareness around that movement, and to bring it through to to our stages, to our land, and to all people that resonate with this message. It's big, but we are ready for the 5D earth to come into being. But the one thing that really is alive in me as a shadow priestess of the Magdalene lineage is that we can't bypass the distortions and the pain and the persecution that's happened to our lineage, to the witch lineage, to the old wisdom keepers lineage, the sacred guardians of the earth. Those are the people that have been severely ridiculed, burned, mocked, harmed, damaged, and often those are the same people that are scared to speak the truth because of everything that's happened to them, and they remember the lifetimes, myself included. And that is the biggest reason I'm bringing 5D living back forward, to speak the gnosis and to connect with others that are also speaking this knowledge and excited about this way of living, and that have things to share about the distortions that happened, that are sharing their own soul stories, or that have beautiful soul plan, trailblazing leadership qualities that I admire, who've been working with me. So this series is very much about bringing that powerful wisdom keeper voice forward for all of those that were persecuted and harmed throughout all the dimensions and all the lifetimes, and to ensure that it never happens again. Not on my watch. So I hope you enjoy the series, and have an equal measure of dark and light wisdom in your days, because both hold great power. And I don't mean the distorted dark, I mean the divine dark of the no-thing, of the not understanding, of the questioning, for the new things to be birthed in, and the light of the spark of the heart of your consciousness, of your spirit, and that is seeded all around you in the beautiful universe that we reside in. And the reminder that wherever there isn't light, and if you really understand the light and the soul's consciousness, then that gives you great freedom, because you know what you're working with. Like, I can see now through all of my learnings where souls are fragmented, but more than that, I can see where there's soulless beings. And I can see that that's not what we want on the earth. We don't want it run by artificial intelligence that has no soul light. That is madness. We are coming into a time when we are collecting and nourishing and building our soul and our spiritual bodies. We want to go on that trajectory. And that is why I speak with so much passion today. Blaze your light strong.